Welcome, everybody. I am here with attorney David Yurkofsky. I'm John Dorer with EB-3.work. David Yurkofsky is an immigration attorney who's been practicing for, can I say this, over 20 years?
Yeah, I think it's 30 now.
Wow.
Well, actually,
that's a lot of experience.
No, it's not. It's not. It's, wait, 93.
That's 30. Yeah, 30.
I skipped a lot of grades and started when I was a little kid.
So anyway, welcome. It's always great to be with you. And, we talk a lot during every day, really. David.
Yeah. Can I say something about you?
Sure.
I mean, for the first 15 years, I didn't practice with John. I kind of did everything myself, and I had assistants helping me from Bernard College, Columbia University. I trained all these people because they're smart, and they're not far from my home office where I would work with them sometimes, or my uptown office. And they were nice and they were smart, but they didn't have the systems and the organization and the vision for long-term, and John has something I haven't seen. I mean, I don't want to say how great you are, but I feel very fortunate that we're working together.
Well,
that I had the opportunity to be your immigration counsel. Because with your help, I used to be able to help a few people. And the reason a lot of immigration lawyers become immigration lawyers, we could go into the corporate law and, just have a fancy office and make big money and get the front row to all the shows. But immigration lawyers kind of want to help people. Maybe they want to be a hero. I don't know, but they want to help people. They want to rescue people. They do political asylum. They prevent people from getting deported. And that's how I started with Catholic Charities. But I was doing a few cases at a time. And with John, we're literally able to help dozens and dozens of people who I didn't even think had a chance to come here, because I was doing the Extraordinary Ability Award-winning artist. And now not that I'm rating people, but that's a different category. And I didn't do the category of people who would be so important in working, doing physical kinds of jobs that are supporting our companies. And now there's such a huge shortage of labor in this country. You can just Google it. It's just unbelievable. And the robots are not ready to replace. I don't think that's going to happen for at least another 10 years, if ever. We need dedicated people who can work in restaurants and work for construction and assembly, and that aren't going to quit after 3 days and go move into their mommy or daddy's basement and just watch videos. We need young blood.
You're absolutely right. They all of the, you just Google labor shortage now, and you'll see more and more economists talking about it, how, the big baby boomer bubble is entering retirement. And it's, a lot of people say, oh, Americans don't want to do that work, or, but the truth is there are just not enough workers than there used to be. And so historically, a smart government utilizes immigration to keep the economy going and to keep businesses hiring. So that's, that's really.
And we're not a smart government, because we find that there's a labor shortage now, and we get the labor application approved, but then they delay the green card, and people want them now. And the sooner we file these applications, especially for the employers, we should be filing every 6 months so that they have a steady. I was just up in Cape Cod, which is like this traditional, it used to be Irish community, the Kennedys and everybody. Every hotel, the waitresses, the front desk people. Traditionally, you might see people from India in that capacity on an E2 visa or something like that. But right. Here I saw like numerous summer interns from Montenegro, from Romania, Bulgaria, and then the guys who were like cooking And the guys who were like, helping someone jumpstart their car, they asked me for help. And I realized I got in their car, this old lady and her husband from Austria. I said, I think your battery is dead, because it's a little bit, but it's not. And then the guy who came out to help her was from Jamaica. And then it turned out everywhere I went, whenever there were people like walking around, keeping the place running and hammering and doing jobs to keep the physical properties in order, which they were all from Jamaica, the country Jamaica.
Yeah, I know. No, there's huge demand. So, So anyway, the purpose of these videos is obviously this is not legal advice. This is, we're just having a conversation. We're bringing immigration news. We're trying to add value to our listeners. So we'll talk a little bit about some recent immigration news and some recent news regarding nursing homes and the caregiver shortage. But first, I believe, David, that immigration or USCIS did away with biometrics on the I-539 application. This is not something that is directly involved in the EB-3 process, but some EB-3 applicants are in F1 status or in B2 and switching to F1, and so the I-539 is that application. So what is that?
Or their spouse or their children need to file an I-530, which is an extension of status or change of status. After 9/11, they got very, very security conscious, and they started fingerprinting everybody, like in a way they didn't. Right. They were too lax. At one point, they were too lax in security, and then they became like over, cautious. So they were fingerprinting everybody every 6 months. So the biometrics is like 10 fingerprints, digital, plus your photograph. So they have a digital record of, they know that the person, like in the old days, someone could just say, hey, you can use my green card. There was no fingerprint attached. You got brown hair, you got green eyes, you can be me, go work. Nobody might even notice, Right. It was like a fuzzy picture that was pasted in, and now it's all like very sophisticated, and there's biometric data. Someone is already in the country legally. Yeah. They've already been 10 fingerprinted.
Right. So that's good news. Hopefully it'll speed up processing time, which is the real benefit.
And the biometrics people were always very fast, but I'm sure it slowed things down by at least 3 months.
Yeah, there was the $85 charge, and it slowed down. So that's gone. So that's good news. Secondly, and this just came out today. This is September.
This is a shocker.
27th. So on adjustment of status applications, employment-based, the EAD, the work permit, the I-765 work permit, is now going to be issued for 5 years.
Give me 5. Used to be 1 year, sometimes 2 years. That means they kept having to come to us, and we were allowed to file 180 days in advance, and sometimes it took them more than 180 days to process, so that meant there was a gap, and they weren't sure if they had permission to work or not, because a card expired, and they still didn't receive their new card, or it got lost. They moved to a new address. They lost their, really bad stuff. And of course, immigration, could make fees every time, and the lawyers could charge every time they have to file a new one. So it's actually a loss of money for immigration.
Yeah.
For U.S. immigration, the U.S. government, but it's not a big loss because they're making so much money on premium processing. Yeah. No, but they're making $2,500 on premium processing for the I-140s after the labor cert's approved. They're making billions of dollars on that.
Yeah, they're doing just fine.
Yeah.
Next, so this is kind of timely news. We don't know if there's going to be a government shutdown. I guess we'll know Saturday night, right? Because Saturday is the 30th.
Big drum roll. I wish I had a drum.
Which is my birthday, by the way. That's a big day, Saturday.
Really?
25 years old. You believe that?
I believe it. With your energy.
Anyway.
And your serve. His tennis serve is He broke my tennis racket with his tennis serve.
That'll be another video. We'll have a full video on that. That's a good story. But yeah, you know, everybody is kind of on pins and needles waiting to see what will happen. So what will be the impact on immigration cases?
It depends how long the shutdown lasts. I can't imagine it lasting more than a few days.
Yeah, hopefully, if at all. So
Now,
yeah.
was the last shutdown under Bill Clinton? And wasn't he with Monica Lewinsky during the shutdown? Famous story.
I see where you're going with this.
I mean, that's what happens. You ask me, what's the implication of a shutdown? I don't know. People have more time for hanky-panky, but they don't do their legal work for us.
Right. So from what I understand, correct me, if it's a fee-based agency, like USCIS is fee-based, so they will continue because they're getting the fees. But the Department of Labor, for like the PERM cases at prevailing wage, they will shut down because they're dependent on congressional funding for their budget.
Right, because immigration makes so much money from their fees. They're like an independent operation.
Yeah.
USCIS.
And you know, there have been pushes in the past to make the Department of Labor a fee-based. You know,
wouldn't it be great if they charged $100 and they gave us the wage in a few weeks or a few days?
It seems like a no-brainer to me. And
so easy. It's already online. The answer is already online.
Yeah. So we're hoping that there's no government shutdown because the Department of Labor affects a big part of our business with the prevailing wage request and PERM cases. Essentially, everything will just freeze. In addition, the websites will be down, so you won't be able to check the status of your prevailing wage or your PERM case, and the support will be down. So,
but I wouldn't be fearful of that. I mean, it's going to be a few days. It's not going to go on for months. That I don't think is going to happen. Even if it were a week or two in the scheme of things. So you can't check your case status for a couple of weeks. You didn't even used to be able to check your case status because there was no online. Was no online. Yeah. So it'll be like the old days where there was no online. So you don't even know what's.
We could just relax and read a book.
Yeah, I mean, and not look at the phone. You know, it's too bad they don't shut down all our phones for 2 weeks, and we'd all be shut down, and we could like meditate.
Great point. So
anyway, people don't need to fear that, but
okay.
If there is a shutdown, people need to know that if they ask us a question like, "Can you check?" No, we're gonna have an answer. No,
unfortunately,
they're shut down.
Yeah,
they're closed, which is kind of like living in France because every time you need something, it says they're not there. They're out to lunch. They'll be back tomorrow. Right. So it'll be like more like a French kind of system. Sorry, France. I have cousins in France. But you know, it won't be as efficient. But then as soon as the thing is over, they'll be back to work, and it'll be like it never happened.
Right. Okay. Good. Excellent. And then now also in the news is President Biden's mandate. It's an unfunded mandate that is requiring nursing homes to assign nurses and nursing aides a certain number of hours per patient per day.
Will that include for the president?
That's a
Will he have a new nurse?
That's a great question. I think it's something like 2 hours a day, or 2.5 hours a day. You know, this is an industry that is really struggling with labor shortages for both, you know, for caregivers, nurses, aides, and RNs. And the industry associations are really up in arms and really doing a big push to Congress to stop this from happening because. You know, from what I'm aware of, a lot of nursing homes really operate at the margins. They're not huge profit businesses.
They're not going to be able to find people to do it. They're not going to be able to comply. It's not possible.
And this could actually have the the inverse impact of by shutting down marginally profitable nursing homes, it will actually provide less care because there simply won't be enough homes to comply with the regulation. And so it doesn't look like this was really thought through.
Whenever they try and fix something, they make it worse. That's what I seem to see. Although with immigration, giving people 5 years, that's an improvement for their EAD card, for our foreign folks that we represent from all over the world. It's an improvement. It takes a lot of headache, and let's say their green card is delayed for some reason. Who knows why? It could be because they have a DWI, a driving while drunk, or something happened to them in their country that causes a red flag and slows down processing. Right. At least they have a working card for 5 years. That's a huge improvement. That is like a sea change.
Absolutely.
And employers were upset because then their work card expired. They have to take them off the payroll, or does it extend? If you filed it on time, is it automatically extended even though the card's expired? You don't have to deal with any of those questions.
And all the burdensome compliance of making sure you're checking those work permits,
and the dates filed out.
Yeah, so much better. I'll tell you one thing, just getting back to the nursing home, and also, the big infrastructure bill that's been passed, that's giving, billions of dollars to the states to fix our, old highways, old bridges. The infrastructure here in New York is just really beat up. It gets so much traffic, so many trucks, the roads are terrible, so many potholes. There are, if you look at construction industry websites, there are, and the construction executives that we speak with, they are not going to be able to use the money because they don't have enough workers to do the jobs.
And they can't go out and buy robots. They're not ready yet.
Robots aren't ready yet. So that's my one thing with the government, is that I wish the right hand would talk to the left hand.
No, not going to happen.
Immigration, if you're going to do these, these regulations and funding. So
it's unfortunate that we don't have, streamlined, smart, intelligent. It's like, imagine a sport where the rules keep changing and like, now, okay, you have to hit it in the goal. Well, you can hit it over if you hit the post when you're playing, you hit the whole post, you get half a point, I don't know. You can't just keep changing things around. Well, now now it's not 11 men. Now it'll be 9 men, or now there has to be a woman on every man's soccer team or whatever. They could just they know how to wreck everything with regulations and rules. By the way, electric cars, 1,000 pounds heavier than gasoline cars. That apparently is going to cause major wear on the roads. And the tire industry, you're going to they need new tires because it's so heavy. And the road gets more damaged. Yeah, with these electric cars.
How about that? Yeah.
You fix something and then you make it worse.
And with that,
but
wraps up this version. We're hitting about 18 minutes, 19 minutes. This has been fantastic.
There's one thing I wanted to say though with these EB-3s, and that is a focus, right? The sooner an employer starts filing, given the shortages, given the problems that we've just talked about. If you file now, in a year and a half or 2.5 years, the first green card should come in. I can't say year and a half, 2.5. That's about the average. We don't know because it changes depending on green card availability and stuff, and shutdowns or whatever. But 6 months later, if you file another bunch of green cards, it's going to create 2 years from now, you can have a steady stream of workers. I mean, I don't know if this video is for the businesses or we're talking to businesses and to individuals, but for those of you out there who have a business and you have a shortage, sooner you file, if you think you're going to have a shortage for the next 5 years, 10 years, the sooner you file, the better. But you shouldn't file just once. Even before the green cards are approved, you should file again in 6 months, because you don't want to have a gap, because you may have workers for 2 or 3 years and they may quit after a year. Well, you can probably get a 1-year commitment out of people, but not everyone's going to stay. A certain percentage are going to stay with you forever, and they're going to love it. They're going to be the best people you ever hired. But a certain percentage are not going to stay. So you have to plan for the future and keep the flow of these EB-3s.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just in a video I put up yesterday, it's a very short video, but I went through newspaper articles each year for the past 5 years, going back to 2017, the past 6 years, going back to 2017. Labor shortage affecting the restaurant industry, 2017. Labor shortage hitting the restaurant industry, 2018. And so, if you think the next 5 years are going to be any different, then you're fine, but probably not.
People I know, owners who are like 60 years old, are working because they can't find people to normally fill in. Even they have to be the manager, they have to be the waiter. I was at a French restaurant in Queens. By the way, I have to recommend it to you. You take the subway down and cross over on the 7 to, it's beautiful there. The waterfront is gorgeous. Water taxi there too. But anyway, the French chef, it was him and one other person. They were cooking, they were waitering, they were sweeping, they were like going, no support staff.
And that's
when I went to Carvel during the pandemic, I went to a Carvel in Elmsford, New York, near where Tom Carvel, the ice cream man, had his first Carvel. This is Elmsford. He started in Yonkers. There were 2 women from China, and they were speaking in Chinese. They were around 70. And they said they had to work because it was COVID and they had no one else to come in. They told me they trained with Tom Carvel on how to make ice cream. Wow. They were telling me, but I'm like, what are you guys doing here? You're not like, where are the kids? Nobody wants to work, so we have to work. And so what you may start seeing are these retired. Actually, you see them. You're like in Walmart, and you see like an old man with a cane, and he's like pushing a cart and he's stocking the shelves. Like, that's.
You don't really want to see that. I mean,
unless he wants to.
I know. Yeah.
But
the labor shortage is real, and we're here to help. So, thank you, David. Always great to see you.
Thank you, John.
Let's do this again very soon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.